Hi, I'm Dan Dunlop. I'm here today with Kim Safran. Kim and I met at an event I spoke at probably 2 months ago. And Kim came up after my presentation and introduced herself. She is the founder and lead instructor of an organization called Return2Recess. And just the name of the organization immediately caught my attention. And we started talking and formed a friendship. And I invited her to come sit in with me and create a video to introduce her organization so that I could share it on my blog. So that's why we're here today. And I just look so forward to sharing Kim's story with you. So welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Dan.
I want to start out by asking Kim, just give us the brief overview of what is Return2Recess.
Return2Recess is an activities-based class. It's fun, it's non-competitive, and it focuses on play.
So, backing up a bit, what is an activities-based class? Speak English for us.
Well, one of the first things you'll notice when you walk into a class are activity stations. And there might be anywhere from 6 to 10 activity stations. They help support what's called a skill set: dribbling, catching, kicking, things of that nature. In addition to that, there are also games and relay races. And the thing that's nice about this is that it's a cooperative effort. They not just encourage a skill set, but also daily living skills, such as coordination, balance, and grip strength. Anyone could make the activity stations and the games as simple or as challenging as they'd like. And we use all sorts of fun, goofy equipment, oversized, colorful, lightweight, where anybody can participate.
Kim, can you tell us how you came up with this idea of Return2Recess?
Sure. I was working with a couple of clients as a health counselor, which is a side business for me. And they were interested in becoming active again, but they weren't all that jazzed about using walking as their sole method for activity. And so what I decided to do was to set up a little mini obstacle course in an activity room in the community where they lived. Very simple. It was an opportunity for them to try something different. I demonstrated it for them. They took part, they started laughing, they started competing with each other, and the next thing I knew, I thought, I may just be onto something here.
Kim, in very real terms and in basic terms that we all will understand, tell me, what do you do with your clients and what's the benefit to them of going through this process with your organization?
Well, essentially what I'm doing is I'm creating an environment where people will hopefully feel comfortable enough to step outside their comfort zone, to lose the adult mindset for a little while, if you will, and to experience something that they typically don't in the everyday.
And that's play, right?
Exactly, exactly. It's doing something that is so unlike what our typical day-to-day is all about. You know, we work, we're overscheduled to a point, and here's an opportunity for people to do something that, although is new, can have wonderful benefits. Some of the benefits, I mean, they're physical benefits, emotional and mental, spiritual benefits, even social benefits. Working with others, cooperating with others in a way that's something outside of the workplace or outside of the home. It's doing something that is familiar, but that hasn't happened in a long time. It's based on recess, which brings people back to a time that they didn't have a lot of responsibilities and that they could come out, have a good time, laugh, get to know themselves a little better, and get to know other people as well.
You know, it's fascinating. We all loved recess back in the day. Exactly. It was like the highlight of the day. Right. And now we've totally abandoned it. Yeah. Do you find people resistant when they first come in? You know, you get somebody like me, I'm in my 50s, I'm a business person, I'm always traveling and on the run. Do you find that people have trouble letting go and releasing and relaxing?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
How do you get them to start having fun and to play?
Well, I think one of the things that's very appealing to people is the first thing that they see are these big, oversized pieces of equipment that are very colorful, things they don't typically see in the everyday, or if they do, in, let's say, in their child's school PE class. People are reticent to begin with. They want to assess first. They always want somebody else to go first. But once I demonstrate and I show them that it's absolutely doable and that it's a non-judgment zone, it's supportive and it's comfortable, little by little people tend to take those little baby steps towards picking up a ball and bouncing and doing all the things that they haven't done in a while, but it does take time. I think people are very image conscious, and this is an opportunity for people to lose that.
Kim, if I brought some of my colleagues in to you, and my goal was to get them to relax and learn to chill out a little bit and maybe be more creative because of that.
Right.
And that's the business we're in. What kinds of activities could I expect for us to all take part in during that day?
Well, they can change from week to week, but I find that the staples tend to be hula hoops, hopscotch, jump ropes. We have beach ball, volleyball, and all the different types of activities that people are familiar with, but maybe haven't tried in quite some time. They're simple, they're not complicated, and again, they use pieces of equipment, beach balls, balloons, bean bags, things that are easy enough to handle and that are not intimidating at all. Plus, we also have relay races, a lot of which don't even require any running. We have group games that require some level of cooperation, but when you're working with other people in an environment that's fun and even a little goofy, the walls tend to come down a little bit.
Kim, one of the reasons you caught my attention when we first met was I got the feeling that you work in health and wellness. Just like I consider myself working in healthcare and wellness. I'm a promoter of health and wellness. Do you see things the same way? Do you feel like you work in health and wellness?
Oh, I absolutely do. I just happen to approach it from a completely different angle. It's funny, when I look at different forms of medicine and how it's practiced, this is something that a lot of people feel beholden to. There's a certain way to heal oneself, and there are very standard methods of care or classes or recreational pursuits. Mine are a little different, but I do find ultimately that the end result is the same.
Now that you've been doing this business for a while, have you found that there are particular groups of customers, different demographics that are more appropriate than others for the services you offer?
I do. I find that seniors and people, baby boomers actually is a great population, are finding that as they're nearing retirement age, let's say, that the need to become more active on a more consistent basis is becoming increasingly more important. People have been away from activity, or people who have find it somewhat intimidating to get back into recreational pursuits, especially if they don't have a particular skill set already developed. And that could be very intimidating for people. So what I like to do is to appeal to people who are interested in getting back into activity but are not exactly sure how to get started or where to get started. I feel that those are the people that would find a home in a Return to Recess class. I also find that there are younger people who are much more competitive, a little bit fierce in their approach, and I don't know that the two populations would mix well, but that doesn't mean that everybody won't find a home in one of the classes.
Recently, I read in your blog, and by the way, I like your blog.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm excited you're doing it. Recently, I read in your blog that you had a group of customers come in, and one of them was a 101-year-old woman who was visually impaired.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and what it was like for her and for you?
Oh, it was hilarious. It was a senior, so it was an assisted living facility, and I had gone in to teach a class, and she basically just told me, she said, I'm 101 years old and I can't see, and I said, okay. I know exactly what to do with this, though. I actually lucked out because from my teaching experience, I worked with children and young adults with disabilities. And so I worked with people who were visually impaired. What I did was, I really just thought about the best ways to have her engaged and to keep her engaged, and that was to follow my voice. If she was visually impaired and she couldn't see a ball, let's say, or something moving in a particular direction, it was up to me to make sure that I was in front of her or that I was to the side of her so she could follow me. And as it turns out, every time we tried some sort of target practice, she was right there, ahead of the group, number one, each and every time. It was amazing. It was a blast, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there is no age limit.
No, not at all. No age limit, skill. It really doesn't matter.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Terrific. Kim, what about your background prepared you for Return to Recess?
Well, I have a bachelor's in physical education, K through 12. I have a master's in the health sciences and health education. After so many years of teaching health and PE and exceptional children, and happily coaching after so many years, close to 20 years now, I found that teaching never really leaves you. And if something is a part of you, and not just teaching, but an idea or an ideal that people can take charge of their own health, that this is something that can find its way into a lot of different pursuits. So when I thought about Return to Recess, I thought about my old students and how exactly can I reach people. And the one thing that came back to me time and time again was it's got to be fun and it's got to be manageable. I've always been a big believer that small incremental steps are the way to achieve success, a way to feel a sense of accomplishment, and that's how I design the classes. I want people to feel successful, and I want them to feel that if they tried this one thing and they did this one particular thing, then what's stopping them from trying something else? It's a great sense of personal empowerment.
Once people spend an hour with you in one of your classes, are they about an hour long?
Yes.
Okay, so once they've spent an hour with you in one of your classes, what kind of reaction are you getting from them?
They've had fun. They're tired, but I think they're tired in a very good way. Feeling that they've accomplished something that they haven't done in a long time, that they had a good time, they met new people, and they've done things that they probably didn't think they were going to be able to do. I have people who haven't hula hooped either in 40 or 50 years or have never done it. And after a short tutorial, they're off and running, and it's a great sense of accomplishment. I mean, to see something like that there are a few things I think that really compare to that.
Are there people who come in and they think they're above this and they think, oh, this is trite, which, yeah, maybe it is trite, but you're gonna have fun, you know. But they come in with that attitude and then they leave thinking, wow, I really learned something here.
You know, the funny thing is that the people that come to my class, moreover than not, I see people who are a little intimidated first. I do have people who have come in who are in wonderful shape, who have been active consistently for 20, 30 years, who don't think much, or maybe don't think that what I'm providing could, let's say, present some sort of challenge, let's say, or how could I walk away from this a changed person? And yet at the same time, it's not all about meeting a challenge. It's not all about the end game. Rather, how can I have fun doing this? And what might I learn about myself while I'm doing this?
In your vision of Return to Recess, is it a one-time activity for someone, or is this something you do weekly? Tell me about that.
I think it's definitely something you can do weekly. The thing that I really like about it is that it can be used as a springboard to other pursuits. And coming into one of my classes, feeling a sense of accomplishment, picking up a jump rope and doing something that I haven't done in so many years, but finding, oh my goodness, I can do this on my own now, I'm perfectly happy with. I mean, of course, I'd love to see people coming back week after week, and I do have regulars, which is great. But I'm also very interested in the one person who's just not sure, who comes in, finds, you know what, I had this goal in mind, I met it, and now I can go and do this on my own. I love that just as much.
Kim, if somebody's watched this video and they want to learn more about Return to Recess, and I am happy to send them your way, how do they find your organization?
Well, they can certainly visit my website, and that's return2recess.com. That's with a number 2 instead of the TO. They can also reach out to me via email, and that's Kim@Return2Recess. And they could also find me on Facebook.
Kim, thanks for doing this today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you yet again, and I hope it wasn't too much torture, because I know you spend time trying to get people to get comfortable and get out of that adult self and have fun, and I try to do a lot of the same things, so hopefully you enjoyed this.
Oh, I had a wonderful time. Thank you so much, Dan, for the opportunity, really.
Well, thank you.